Jay Van Gordon here with FCP Euro, and today I'm going to show you how to replace the drive belt tensioner and drive belt on this 2004 Volvo S60. Let's begin. We're going to be working in this general area here. Obviously the power steering reservoir and hose are in the way, so first let's get those out of the way. Simply pry up on the reservoir to remove it from the coolant expansion tank. Now that the power steering reservoir and hose have been removed from the area, it's time to remove the serpentine belt from the vehicle. You're going to notice that the tensioner is bolted to the car in this position. You're going to want to use a T60 Torx socket along with a long 3/8 ratchet in a tightening position, and simply tighten the tensioner. It will relieve the tension on the belt and remove the belt from the vehicle. Now go ahead and stick your T60 Torx into the tensioner assembly and remove the belt. Now I find that removing the passenger front wheel will actually give you better access to removing the bottom bolt of the tensioner assembly. Always make sure that the car is jacked up and supported safely. Next, what I recommend to do is to position the new tensioner assembly just above the existing and put it in the same orientation that it's bolted onto the engine. And now you can see just above the T60 Torx indent is your top bolt for the tensioner assembly. Go ahead and remove that now. Now to remove the lower bolt of the tensioner assembly, I find it easier to go underneath the car. Once you're underneath the car and the wheels are removed, there's going to be two 10mm plastic nuts here for the fender liner. Remove those. Remove the metal shield. Pull back on the fender liner, and you're going to notice that the factory fender liner already has a crease in it. Fold the fender liner on that crease and use a pair of vice grips to hold it in place. Now that the fender liner is out of your way, it's very easy to notice that the bottom bolt for the tensioner assembly is clearly in view. We're going to go ahead and remove that bolt now and drop the tensioner out through the buckle. As you can see from the looks and sound of this tensioner assembly, it was definitely time for a replacement. Now put the new tensioner back into its place and finger tighten, do not tighten fully. You may be wondering why I didn't fully tighten the bottom bolt, and that's because if you do so, you may have a hard time threading in the top bolt. Now that we're back on top, it's time to thread in the top bolt for the tensioner assembly, and what I recommend is to use a little bit of butyl tape on the socket, or on the bolt, so when you put the bolt into the socket, it holds in place. This is going to make it much easier to take the socket and the bolt and thread it into its home. Now go ahead and tighten both bolts on the tensioner assembly. Now that we've installed our original equipment INA Serpentine Belt Tensioner assembly, it's now time to install our Continental Serpentine Belt. Loop the belt around the AC compressor first. That's your bottommost pulley. Now, while keeping tension on with your right hand, loop the belt from your left hand around the alternator and down around the crankshaft. Loop it around the serpentine belt tensioner. While you move the belt over to the left, take your T60 Torx transition hands and install your belt. Now that the belt has been installed, it's a good time to go over all the pulleys, make sure that the belt is centered on all the pulleys and it's not hanging over in any places, and to make sure that the belt is oriented properly. Start at the power steering pump, it goes down to the AC compressor, back up around the alternator, from the alternator down to the crankshaft, from the crankshaft around the serpentine belt tensioner, and back up to the power steering pulley. Reinstall your fender liner and tighten the two 10mm nuts. Now reinstall your wheel. Now reinstall your power steering reservoir and hose. There's two clips back here, and it goes right inside of the coolant reservoir. And always make sure that this hose is not making contact with the pulley, and the bracket is not making contact with the pulley either. And that's it. So we just finished up. Not too bad of a job. It took about 30-35 minutes tops. This video can also be applied to the other P2 chassis models, S60, V70, XC90, S80, and XC90 with the 5-cylinder engines. I hope you all learned a lot during this video. If you have any comments, please comment in the box below. And also don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.